You ever see one of those massive, ambitious construction projects? You know, the ones that literally change our skylines? And then hear that it's wildly over budget and years behind schedule? It happens all the time. It's a huge problem in a multi-trillion-dollar industry. But what if the fix isn't about working harder? What if it's about working smarter? Well, that's what we're going to dig into, how AI is starting to completely rewrite the rules for these giant projects.
First, let's just get a handle on how big this problem really is. Studies show that on average, large capital projects go over budget by 80%. Yeah, you heard that right, 80. That's not just a small miscalculation. It's a sign that the whole system for financial control is pretty much broken.
And it's not just about the money either. On average, a project finishes a staggering 20 months late. Think about that, almost 2 years behind schedule. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They represent real-world consequences, derailed strategies, messed up supply chains, and just a massive, massive loss of value.
So, here's the key takeaway. This isn't just a string of bad luck or a few bad managers. The problem is that today's mega projects are just so incredibly complex that our old tools, they just can't keep up anymore. The way we've planned things for decades simply doesn't work in today's fast-moving, interconnected world.
This pattern of failure is so common, so predictable, that some people actually call it the iron law of megaprojects. So, why does it keep happening? Let's get to the real root of the problem, and, the answer might surprise you.
Right, so here's the interesting twist. Project teams are absolutely drowning in data. They've got piles of reports, constant sensor readings, notes from the field, you name it. But almost all of it is what you'd call dark data. It's messy, it's stuck in different systems, and it's basically impossible to use to make a smart decision when you actually need it.
And this picture here, it just illustrates the result perfectly. Information gets trapped. The finance team has their data, the engineering team has theirs, and they don't talk to each other. Communication is days, sometimes weeks behind what's actually happening on the ground. It creates this constant state of chaos and putting out fires. You're always playing catch-up, never getting ahead.
So how do you possibly break that cycle? Well, it's not about gathering even more data. It's about finally connecting the dots between the data we already have. It's about using technology to get a handle on all that complexity.
Let's start with this key piece of the puzzle, the digital twin. So what is it? Put simply, it's a living, breathing, virtual model of the real-world construction project. And I mean living. This is not some static 3D drawing. It's a dynamic copy that is constantly being updated with real data from the job site. Now, what this does is pretty revolutionary. It smashes through all those data silos we were talking about. It creates one unified model, a single source of truth that pulls in the design, the schedule, the costs, and what's actually happening on the ground right now. For the very first time, everyone on the team is looking at the same up-to-the-minute picture of the project.
But, a digital twin is only as useful as the brain that's running it. And that's where AI comes in. AI is that intelligent layer, that connective tissue that makes sense of all that incoming data. It finds the patterns, it flags the risks, and it makes predictions that a human team, no matter how good they are, just couldn't possibly spot on their own.
Okay, so a change this big doesn't happen overnight, right? You don't just flip a switch and suddenly have a fully autonomous AI running your project. It's more of a journey. Organizations follow a pretty clear, practical roadmap, building up their capabilities one step at a time.
So this journey, it usually starts with some small manual experiments, just dipping a toe in the water. As the team gets more comfortable, they move into a predictive phase, where the AI starts to forecast potential problems. But the real transformation, the big leap, happens at the integrated stage. This is where AI stops being just a background tool and starts actively shaping real-time decisions. From there, the goal is the optimized stage, where AI really becomes a trusted co-pilot for the entire team.
And that integrated stage, that is the real game changer. All of a sudden, AI isn't just giving you a report on what happened last week. It's a strategic partner. It can scan through emails and meeting notes to flag a risk with a supplier. It can automatically track your progress against your financial goals, and it can warn you that you're starting to overspend long before it spirals into a crisis.
All right, so this all sounds really good in theory, but does it actually work in the real, messy world of a construction site? Well, the evidence is pretty clear. Let's look at some of the actual results.
So take Turner Construction, a huge name in the industry. By using predictive AI, they were able to spot and fix bottlenecks before they even happened. The result? They cut their project delays by a massive 30%. That is the very definition of moving from being reactive to proactive.
And you see this impact across the board. Just look at what happens in a typical before and after. Scheduling efficiency, basically how well you stick to your plan, it just jumps. But the really critical one for your budget is resource utilization. It can go from around 55% to 80%. That means less expensive equipment sitting idle, fewer people standing around, and those are gains that go straight to the bottom line.
And it's not just about high-level efficiency either. We're seeing this backed up by detailed simulations. One peer-reviewed study found that this kind of digital twin framework could cut the human labor needed for cost estimating by 43%, and it chopped overall project delays by 16%. The numbers really speak for themselves.
So, when you put it all together, what does it really mean? It's a fundamental shift in how we think. It's about moving away from a culture of constant firefighting to a culture of foresight.
I mean, just look at the comparison here, side by side. The old reactive way means you find out about problems late, your information is scattered everywhere, and you're forced to make calls based on gut feelings. The new predictive way gives you early warnings, connected data in real time, and the ability to make disciplined, data-driven decisions. It's just a totally different and frankly better way to operate.
And let's just be super clear about this. The goal here is not to have robots replace human managers. Not at all. It's about empowering our best people. It's about giving smart, talented project leaders the tools they need to see problems earlier, to coordinate their teams better, and to make more disciplined, informed decisions. It's about augmenting human intelligence, not replacing it.
Look, this kind of technology isn't some far-off sci-fi concept anymore. It's here, and it's already delivering real, measurable results. For an industry that's been struggling with the same problems for decades, this shift is finally happening. And that really leaves us with one last, very important question to think about. Given everything we know, what is the true cost of doing nothing? What is the cost of staying reactive?